Hey everybody, thank you for joining me for my interactive read aloud. Today I will be reading the book called The Courage of the Little Hummingbird. It was written by Leah Henderson and illustrated by Maggie Morales. On the back of this book, it says, in this fresh retelling of the Little Hummingbird, a disastrous fire threatens the great forest, and one heroic hummingbird must inspire all the animals to work together to save their home. Lyrically told by Leah Henderson and vividly illustrated by Maggie Morales, this fable about hope and courage demonstrates how a community can unite to overcome adversity, no matter how insurmountable the odds may seem. The tale has been told around the world in many forms and across many cultures over time, and it is believed to have originated among the indigenous Quechua people of the modern Ecuador. The courage of the little hummingbird is a reminder that no challenge is too great and that even the smallest of us can make a world of difference. So, looking here at the front of this book, we see a tiny hummingbird and a few other animals down here at the bottom. Now, what do you think this hummingbird is trying to do?
Mm, escape a fire.
Think he's trying to escape a fire? Okay, that's a good answer. That's a good answer. Okay, so the title of this book is called The Courage of the Little Hummingbird. What does it mean to have courage?
To be brave.
Good job. Good job. The Courage of the Little Hummingbird, a tale told around the world. Across ocean, lands, and skies, in villages, in towns, cities, in classrooms, in whispers, in shouts, and in many different languages, the story of the little hummingbird of the great forest is told. Long, long ago, flames crackled and leaped. The branches snapped, leaves crinkled, the great forest was ablaze. Animals dashed in every direction. They had no choice but to scurry away from the place they all called home. Now, the author says here that the small forest creatures began to scurry away as they needed a new home. You see the fire, you see the smoke coming in. So, what do you think it means to scurry based on what you see?
To run.
That's right, to run away. And what kind of running do you think they're doing? You think they're just frantically running around?
They're scared.
They're scurrying, they're cautiously running away. That's right. So you think you could show me what a scurry looks like? What does a scurry look like? You take small steps like
Very
that,
fast.
very fast. The fire sprang higher and higher as a troop of baboons, a shadow of jaguars, a roll of armadillos, a nest of snakes, a bed of sloths, a litter of rabbits, and a pandemonium of parrots all fled, scared and unsure. The little hummingbird hovered a moment, weary of the long trail of animals, waded into the river, or flew across its waters. All right. So here we see that the animals are gathering together safely, escaping the fire, and the hummingbird is weary. To be weary means to feel or show caution about possible dangers or issues. Why would the hummingbird be uh, weary in this situation as the animals escape? Why is he showing caution?
From the fire?
Is he worried about them?
Yes.
He is worried about them. That's right. On the safer shore, the lion shook ashes from his mane. The chimpanzee swung from a tree and pointed back at the flames. The elephant stomped her feet, and the bears licked their wounded paw. None of them nor the other animals dared move back towards the fire. But the little hummingbird thought of each branch and each tree that protected so many of the animals, and the nectar of each flower that fed her. How could she leave them helpless in the raging flames? What do you think the little hummingbird's going to do?
Mm, try to lead them out.
We'll see. She swooped down, flitted her wings, and asked, "Are we going to let it all burn?" "The fire's too mighty," growled the lion. "But you're the mightiest boss there is. Isn't there something you can do?" "The flames are much too high," cried the giraffe. "Even for you, your head reaches the clouds." "Can't you see the fire is too angry?" bellowed the elephant. "What if you calmed it with sprays of water from your trunk?" questioned the little hummingbird. "There must be something we can do." "Nonsense," croaked the frog. "It's too late," said the woodland penguin. "It's hopeless," muttered the fox. "Unfortunately," the wise old turtle declared, "there's nothing to be done." The little hummingbird disagreed. She couldn't bear to see their forest home burn. But what could she do to help? The other animals stayed gathered, making sure everyone had made it out safe. Suddenly, the little hummingbird became a streak of color, racing across the sky. She dove deep, skimmed the river, and filled her tiny beak with water. Then she darted towards the flames. "Wait!" cried the mongoose, but the little hummingbird zipped straight for the roaring fire. "No!" howled the hyena. "Stop!" bleated the okapi. "What's she doing?" squealed the aardvark. "Oh, that senseless hummingbird!" screeched the owl. "She thinks she can make a difference." Ignoring the shouts of her friends, and the little hummingbird neared the heat and flames. Smoke hissed around her and weighed down on her wings. She opened her beak and released a single drop of water. The fire continued to rage. The little hummingbird returned to the water's edge. She scooped up another beakful of liquid and then raced back through the blanket of gray. Over and over she rushed from the flame to water and water to flame. Smoke stung her eyes and a ribbon of cough trembled as the sky across the sky when her beak was empty. Even when her delicate wings got singed, she didn't give up. She flew back and forth. Now, look here. You see her wings?
Mm-hmm.
See how they've changed color? Why do you think they changed color like that?
From the smoke.
From the smoke? And because the fire singed it. So when something gets singed like that, that means, it gets a burnt edge. If the edge of it gets burnt on the surface. So
Mm-hmm.
it gets scorched. So her wings have changed color. So we can see her wings have changed color. If I singe something, I burn it like I singed my finger on the edge of the stove this morning. Finally, the lion roared, "Enough of this. You're too small. A few specks of water won't settle this fury." "What do you think you're doing?" the other animals agreed. Before taking another drop of water into her beak, the little hummingbird turned to the lion and the rhino, the elephant, and all the animals of the great forest that were bigger and stronger than her, and said, "I'm doing all I can." A quiet hush spread across the jumble of animals. Then the lion looked at the chimpanzee, and the chimpanzee looked at the okapi. The okapi turned to the giraffe, and the giraffe turned towards the bear. But it was the elephant that stepped forward first, breaking the surface of the river with her trunk. Soon all of the animals, both large and small, gathered side by side along with the water's edge. Ready to do all they could to save their forest home together. The end. Now, I got a few questions for you. Now that we're done with our book, did you like that?
Mm-hmm.
Pretty good book. So, after reading this book, I want you to think of a time where you felt too small or young to fix a big problem but tried anyway. How do you how does your experience connect with what the hummingbird taught us about during the story? I'm going to ask you that again. I'm going to do that again. Okay. Now that we're done reading the book, think about a time when you felt too small or young to fix a big problem but tried anyway. How do your experiences connect with what the hummingbird taught us during the story?
Mm, I guess trying to get people out, like an emergency event, like at the hospital. Um, just with fear and being scared, like patient wise, just trying to get them out of the hospital
All
in
right.
a timely manner.
So the story we read about today is based on old folklore, but the reality of forest fires is very real. This is why it is important to understand how real world communities put themselves together and protect themselves from these dangers. Wildfires not only threaten wildlife, but they also threaten surrounding towns. It takes a network of firefighters, volunteers, responsible citizens to protect habitats, including our own. Just like the hummingbird, real world heroes show us that no helpful action is too small when we are taking care of the environment around us. What would be a good strategy for protecting against forest fires?
Mm. I would like to say the cleanup of like debris and stuff like that, like maybe in between seasons.
That's right. That's right. Good job. Thank you for participating in my interactive read aloud today. I really appreciate that.
You're welcome.
All right.